Hi, I am your host, Leonette Talley, and you are listening to Virago 24/7. Virago is Latin for female warrior, and 24/7 is for all day, every day. Virago 24/7 is a weekly podcast that brings diverse women together to talk about life and our experiences in this world. We share our views on self-love, mental health, marriage, children, friendships, and really anything that needs to be talked about. Here, you will find everyday growth, everyday healing with everyday warriors. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome. Today, I am not alone. I've been alone by myself, myself, and I for the past 3 weeks. But today I have three lovely ladies that you've heard before. We have Lindsey Yoder.
Hey.
What up?
Hey.
We have Shiny like the sun.
Hello.
And we have Erica.
Hey.
From Detroit. We are gathered here today to talk about race again. Woohoo! Everyone's favorite topic of choice. So if you're listening, you're probably like, oh crap, not again. But hey, it's important to talk about. So here we are. I wanted to bring these three ladies on. We've already done a show about racism, but I just wanted to get a different perspective on it. And we're going to tackle different questions and issues. I posed a question on Facebook recently about, okay, what can Leonette and Virago and all the Viragos record for the podcast? And one of the things that came up was 2 race-related questions. And I'm like, these are thought-provoking and good, questions to debate. So that is one reason that I wanted to talk about this today. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
I want to start... I know last time we talked about white fragility, and we can, tackle that. But when I was doing research, I found this word, and I know you guys have heard it, and I've heard it, but I didn't really know the true meaning of it. Microaggression and what that means. And I know, Lindsey, I've heard you use this word before. And anytime Lindsey uses big words, I have to look them up. I'm like, damn, I should know that word. But I feel like with race, people think racism is in your face, evil people, evil words, but microaggression is very subtle, very everyday dialogue, very everyday comments that people make that we don't realize can hurt that person. So who wants to talk about that? And I want to shoot it to Lindsey for some reason.
Well, I will say I can give a definition of microaggression. I feel like, defining our terms, anytime we start talking, particularly about race, it's helpful to be on the same page. As we know, race and racism is so complex and its manifestations are complex. So to make sure we're talking about the same thing is super helpful. And I find that helpful in engaging people on the topic. So I just did a quick search. Do you have a definition?
I do, okay. But before we start, let me go back to our backgrounds, because if you've listened, we know Lindsey's white, Shiny's Asian, Indian. Is that how you describe yourself?
Yes.
And then we have Erica, who's black, and then I'm Hispanic. So anyways, that's who we are. Go ahead.
Awesome. This definition of microaggression is a statement, action, or incident regarded as an instance of indirect, subtle, or unintentional discrimination against members of a marginalized group, such as a racial or ethnic minority. So some of those, those terms is kind of indirect, maybe subtle. The word unintentional to me kind of bugs me, but because I think from the person maybe doing it, they don't know what they're doing. The way that actions and words have history and have meaning, and whether the person knows that history or meaning or not, the impact is still harmful. So that's the definition that I just quick found. So we can talk
that's the
about
definition.
Examples of that.
So I just saw some online that I wrote down that I was like, oh, okay. examples of microaggression. So one was that I saw was, when I see you, I don't see color. And so that's signaling that a person doesn't acknowledge your blackness or won't hold it against you. Another one is that we're all one race. We're a human race. You're so articulate, Erica. You're so articulate as a Black woman. You're so articulate. Oh my gosh. So those are a few. Another one was everyone can succeed in society if they work hard enough. Mm-hmm. So that's signaling that Black people are just lazy, and that's why they're not getting
that one is always huge. Like, you all have the same opportunities. No, we have many more barriers put in the way, and people don't like to acknowledge the barriers that have been set for generations.
Another one that I saw as an example was Black women's hair. So it said, I see your hair is big today. Are you planning to wear it like that for the client meeting? Like, your natural hair is not beautiful. Like, you need to, do something with that because it's out of control.
I get that a lot.
You do?
Well, people think I'm a mystery, right? Because recently I've been in the census at our hospital. I've been listed as African American for over 10 years. And even though I fill out the form as Asian, but when people look at me, they assume either I'm Latin American, like Hispanic, or African American. They would say last Asian. And
what is wrong? I'm sorry. What is wrong with people? Because when I look at you, you look Asian, Indian, like, to me. So these are people that have not gone far.
Well, I think
that's what I see. When people don't see it, I'm like, you haven't been around.
But I think a lot of people haven't. I think a lot of people haven't been around a lot of people, and I noticed that. I am very aware of my surroundings when I go to a party or an event. I am aware that I will be me or my boys will be the only people of color there. But say I put one of my friends in that situation, they may be uncomfortable.
White friends?
Yes.
Okay.
They might be uncomfortable, but because I have lived and grew up, and assimilated very well, I'm fine. But I do think about it. I mean, people can't say that. People will say, "Oh, Shiney, you fit in," or "Shiney, you blend it with everyone so well."
Because you're so articulate, Shiney. That's why.
They'll say things like that.
True.
But please don't misunderstand that I don't see. And when I was at a party a year ago, at a Christmas party, and I was the only person of color, and I think I mentioned it because I was uncomfortable, because not only was I the only person of color, I was definitely the only person that was like me. I felt like everyone was kind of, I don't know, uppity, maybe a certain type of person, if I can say, really dressed. It was in Charlotte, North Carolina. They were very dressed up. I didn't really know anyone. No one spoke to me. It was a type of party that no one's even going to walk around and try to introduce you. And the stranger I spoke to, who just happened to be right there because it was crowded, she said to me, "Oh, I didn't even notice." When I said that that I stood out because I was brown, I said that. She said, "Oh, I didn't even notice." And I thought, of course. "Oh, come on now. You noticed." Yeah. So like you said, I do get that a lot. But when I do say that I am Indian to people, I've also gotten, when you said microaggression, I have also gotten dots or feathers.
Oh my gosh. They say that?
I knew you were going to say that.
Dots
I've
or
heard that.
feather? I've never heard that.
Yes.
Well, yes. Oh, I already knew that was.
Okay, that's crude.
Yes, of course.
Because that's all they know, because or that they see, like maybe on television. So
yes,
it's
and
just
Yeah.
That's just all. That is the only representation.
Yes.
That they see.
So when people say that, what do you say to them?
An expletive? I don't know.
I know, right? No, Shiny's so nice. She probably answers it really sweetly.
I mean, I think I smiled. I think I smiled and said, I think I was at like a garage sale, and I said, I'm not interested in buying anything today. Have a good day or something.
But I get that because it's the same with when you're black. Because on television, they see either extremely dark or extremely light. It's like everybody else that's in between, they don't get to see that. Well, you see more of that now. But like when I was in college and I was in an all-white town, and I worked the drive-thru at Wendy's, and I would get the question, what are you?
Yes.
Several times. Because they were not used to seeing a light-skinned black person in that town. So I get it. They usually see us dark.
I get what are you too. They don't know what
So if they don't see the dot, they like, oh.
We're mysteries, lady.
Right.
I like to be a mystery.
Exactly. I actually enjoy the mystery, which is why I don't tell anyone.
I say
what my background is.
What
I don't tell
am.
my education.
Yeah.
I don't say anything I just figure if they really wanted to get to know me, they try to get to know me, and slowly I could invite them into my space.
Yeah.
And that's how I leave it, because you have to have permission to get into my space, and if they want to be rude and make all these assumptions. But I have actually a pretty good friend. She's much older than me, but she, during this time of conflict in our world, she called me one morning really upset. And it's the time frame of when the older people go, and she's much older than me, so it was time frame when the older people go to the grocery store. And she called me complaining that it's a time when the elders are supposed to go from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And she was upset and said that there were too many Asians in the store. And I said, okay.
Wait, your white friend said there's too many Asians in the store?
Yes, my white friend. She's a little bit older than me, quite a bit older than me. And she called upset. And she was complaining.
Wait, she called you?
She called me.
Oh my God.
Like I said, people who are even close to me or think they're close to me, like feel close to me, was complaining to me and said that there were too many Asians in the store and she didn't feel comfortable. And I, just quickly said, I'm sorry you felt that way. And I'm glad you're home and you're safe and you're okay. And
Did you say why? Okay, what kind of Asian people were these? They're like what the hell? Like, why would you be afraid? I don't get it. Did she say? I would ask all the questions.
I didn't. I just thought it would be the best for me to get off the phone quickly. You know me. I don't invite conflict.
You're so adorable.
But I got off the phone and Actually, I think I might have said that I am Asian, but I don't remember. It might have been my dream, because sometimes I had these dreams where I had this clever comeback to say to somebody. But I'm going to say this when I talk to her next.
Or I'd be like, now you know how I feel when I'm the only brown one in the store. White people might make us uncomfortable.
But
I was just up in Cleveland, Georgia. And if you're listening outside of Georgia, it's a rinky-dink. Okay, it's not a rinky-dink town because it was lovely. But it's a very, very, very small country town. We went up there. They were not wearing any masks. I felt out of place. I was the only brown person. But yeah, I'm like, you know what? I'm here. I'm not going to show that I'm uncomfortable. I don't really get uncomfortable, but you stand out. Mm-hmm. So when people stare at me, I'm like, they just think I'm beautiful. That's what I tell myself. They've never seen such lovely brown skin in their lives.
We're all the same inside.
I know, girl.
I want to stop all this hate. Hate towards Jews, hate towards Asians, hate towards
all of them.
Whites, hate towards everybody.
I hear that story of the grocery store as a person concerned about the coronavirus.
Yes, but it was specific towards the Asian.
Right.
Taking over her elder time.
Well, and because
But they were probably Asians that were elderly at that time as well.
Well, and I hear, because our former president called it the coronavirus, the Kung flu, and
the China
virus. Mm-hmm. Like, from the highest office in our country, we hear a people group blamed for a virus. So the uptick in, hateful actions taken against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in the last 12 months, including recent murders in Atlanta.
Yes.
I mean, I attribute that to that kind of language, right? This dehumanizing of a people group, which always precedes hate and genocide, even eventually down the road. Like a dehumanizing of people is always the first step. So you do that, you dehumanize people through, cut downs and words and labels, and you find a way to view people as less than human so that then you can, in your psyche, justify mistreating them, right? Because it is against our nature to hurt another human, right? Like there's parts of us that go, you're a person, right? And I should care for you, and that's my instinct. So in order to mistreat someone, you have to first see them as less than human. And we don't always do that subconsciously. So that kind of like microaggression, the unintentional part, like we don't know all of the messages that we've internalized, all of the ways that have shaped our views of people from India or people from the other parts of Asia or people from Africa or Afro-Caribbeans or African Americans or Latinas. Like we don't know, we aren't aware of all of the ways that those have shaped our ideas. So it leads to this, like, I'm in the grocery store and I feel unsafe because there are Asian people here and we're in the middle of a pandemic.
Yes.
And so you can't critique, like, why am I afraid? You just feel that, and somehow that feels justified.
It's awful. It's awful.
It is.
Well, and what's awful is she's calling you to vent, not really understanding that you're the wrong person to call and vent to. So a lot of times, for me, microaggression is very, like we said, like we're giving examples, but some people might look at us and be like, oh my gosh, we can't say anything anymore. You guys are so sensitive. Like, what the heck? I can't say anything to anyone without it being offensive. How do we respond to people that say that? Because I've heard that a lot, or read it, you read it online, on social media.
To me, that's such an ignorant thing to say. Like it's a so simplistic way of thinking that if I've asked you not to say certain things, or here is a short list of words that I'd like for you to not use, because I've told you how that impacts me, and you think I can't say anything then, like if these are literally the only words in your vocabulary, then yes, I need you to say nothing. Like then yes, you can't speak to me at all. Like if this is literally all you can do. So even like what would trigger in the person of a mind who's offended by that, well, I gotta walk on eggshells. Like, why can you think of nothing else to say? Like, why do you feel like this list of microaggressions or this whatever article you read or whatever you've heard, why is that so encompassing of what you view you have to say?
Yeah. Like that's all they know. So you're taking it all away. Cause that's what I see. I'm like, you literally, like how you're saying, like, I'm literally taking everything you have to say. Like, really?
If that's
there's
all
nothing
you
else
have to say, then I will need you to say nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes, and why can't we just speak kindly? Why can't that be the choice?
That's right.
If you have nothing nice to say, then...
Well, like, speaking of that, we're going down another road, and I want Erica to chime in. Yeah. So on Facebook, one of the questions was, why is it not okay to say the N-word, but then the Black community can say the N-word and it's okay? How do you respond to that? Because I think there's a lot of people that have that question. Hey, we're here to be real.
Me,
speak it, say it.
You just can't. And I shouldn't have to explain that
but why?
to you.
Why can't you guys say
You know the history.
Yeah.
Nobody is that ignorant to not know the history. So I shouldn't have to explain that to you, which, Lindsay, go ahead and ask your question about the exhaustion part.
Yeah.
that we were talking about before we started recording.
Yeah, one of the things I would be curious to hear from the women of color at the table is how you choose to deal with the foolishness you face. So like, Shiney, you have a friend who calls you and has this concern about the grocery store. Or Erica, if there's other example stories that happen to you, like how do you know when to say, okay, I'm going to engage with this person? Or how do you choose to say, that's foolishness, I'm not going to have a part in it? Like that level of exhaustion that you face with those microaggressions or even macroaggressions. Like how do you choose when to engage, when to walk away? How do you discern? It depends
on the relationship that I have with you and if I actually care about you.
Yeah.
If I really don't, then it's like, well, I'm not going to answer that, and maybe you should do some research and answer that. But if it's somebody that's true, that I feel like, okay, I sit with this person, I have conversations with this person, and they really want to know. Then
like they're coming from a place of like true concern.
Right.
And,
Then, okay, I might explain something, but I'm just at the point in my life right now, you feel like you're tired of the things that you say and you feel like you're walking on eggshells. Well, hell, go ahead, be tired. We've been tired. I don't care about you being tired because you can't say a certain thing. We don't care about that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to generalize because it's not always, every black person doesn't feel the same. But for me, I don't care how you feel at this point when we still have things going on in this country that are affecting people that look like me or look like my children or look like my brother or look like my dad. I don't care about you being tired because you can't say certain things.
The N-word.
Well, I mean, and then okay, so I'll go ahead and answer it. For me as a black woman, I don't use it in mixed company. Okay, that means around white people. I really don't. We don't use it around Hispanic people either. So it shocks me because I'm a school teacher, and when I do hear my brown babies using it, I'm always looking at them like, but they have black friends, so this generation is different, and they allow that word. It's just when I was coming up, we didn't allow anybody outside of ourselves to say it. But and just speaking from my generation, when you use it with just the A, that's different than the ER. Okay, the ER is evil, and you know what it's tied to, what it's associated with. When you use it with the A, that's what you hear in the rap music. You may hear the black kids using it. It's more of a term of endearment, I guess. If you want to say it like that, I won't sit up here and lie and say I don't use it when I'm with family. I mean, it comes out. We try not to, but we'll say it every now and then. But it's just for my generation, it's unacceptable for a white person to use it. I don't care if you rapping a song, you better blank it out. You can rap all around it. Don't say it.
Yeah.
Just because you can't.
Yeah.
And that's just how we feel about it.
Yeah.
You can't because of the history of it. And that's just my take on it. So I hope that answers the question. It
does. I mean, for me, it does. It doesn't make sense for me when people ask that. Because why is that? First of all, why is that your business? Why do you feel the need to even understand why the black community can say the N-word and you cannot? Like, just don't say it. Like, why is that even a freaking debate? Like, why do we have to debate it? I know some people, and depending on where you grow up, a lot of these country cities here in Georgia, like white people, that's probably what they hear growing up because, they don't know any different. But the people that have been around and have been around other minorities, like, why are you asking that question? Just don't say it. Period. And it's none of your business why the black community can say it. They say it. And it's a term of endearment, like
and
you said.
It's not everybody.
No, it's not.
Because, the older generation definitely frowns upon it. Like, don't use it, don't say it at all, period.
Like black people that I've been around don't say it at all. And I've been told that depending on
it just depends on your setting.
Hispanic, like if you're like in an urban area and that's all you know, I've heard that that's okay. It's not. It feels weird for you.
It's
to,
all
like,
about
I would
the
never
code switching because I code switch constantly all day. It just depends on what environment I'm in, and you know, when I go home and I visit my family, that's a whole different environment. You know, so I speak differently. So even when I'm with all of you, you never hear me say that.
Never.
I don't say it in general conversation because I'm just not. I'm not going to because I taught myself when it's appropriate, when it's not. Some people feel it's never appropriate, but you know, I grew up differently. So that's just my take on it.
That's one of those words that you mentioned like the historical context of it and was a direct tool used to dehumanize. So like when you know that that's the history, even if you don't know, you should know at this point, you've had opportunities to know that that's the history of that word. There's a long history of people, marginalized communities reclaiming words, that were used against them. And then now you reclaim it.
Right.
And then so to use it can even be exerting a form of dignity, so like to call it can become a term of endearment, and that doesn't make sense necessarily to people outside of that community.
Right.
But it's the same way that like for women, I don't call my friends the B word,
but it has become a term.
Right. But like if I was feeling some kind of way or just being silly and like I could call you all that. Like I could come in the room and say, "What's up, B?" Like, but if a man did that, we would like attack him. Like don't you dare. So there's a sense in which like a woman, it might not be in your personality to use it, and you might have a relationship with that word that you're like, I will never use it. Or some women who like call their friends that, and it's just silly. But it's something that a woman, like I can say that word as a woman, but a man, you should never, if you call me that, what I'm saying? Like, so there is a reclaiming of words that happens there that is, and again, it's not white people's business for the N word in particular. Like
boundaries,
it's not appropriate.
It's a boundary. Like it is not our business to question
why we use it and how and when and where.
I like that word, boundaries. There's a lot of people that don't have that.
I just read that.
And that's why they asked.
It's a book called Boundary Power.
Oh, okay.
Boundaries. I like that.
And then I listened to some of the podcasts Lindsey sent us and about when the guy was talking about he was on the Peloton and he was.
So Lindsey sent us a podcast where they were talking about the N word, and they were talking about
like in some instances you are uncomfortable. So like when we're all in the gym and the rap music started coming on, and I'm like, hey, turn it.
She does
turn it. Because I'm like,
they're just throwing it out there, huh?
Yeah, I'm like, So there are instances where I'm just like,
like cut it off, cut it off.
And because you're in mixed company.
Because I'm in mixed company. Now, hey. If it's, if I'm back at home,
you're not.
We rock. But if I hear it come on in the gym, and I'm the only person there at 5 a.m. of color, and I'm like, oh, wait, hey, turn it off, woman. So, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. So, since we're talking about what people are saying, like what white people mostly, I'm sorry, Lindsey, but this is mostly white people that are asking these questions or, say these things. So I want to address them. Another thing that comes up a lot is, and not just for black people, for brown people, for anybody who's come to this country and is here and has had struggles, it's like, basically we're told to get over it. It happened already. It happened a long time ago. Move on. What do you say to that? Like, get over it. And it's mostly people that think racism doesn't exist, quote unquote. It doesn't exist anymore. It's like it's over. It was before our time. How do you answer that?
I feel like you really can't address people who have that mindset because unless it hits home for them, they'll never understand. And so you won't change that person's mind on get over it unless they're close to someone that's a person of color. And then they see how it affects their daily routine, their daily life, or if they, because we're truly becoming a country where you can't tell the ethnicity of someone. So until they have a grandbaby that is an other, they won't understand. And so I found that I'm not going to waste my time with people like that because until it hits home, until it directly affects him or her, I just feel like there's no change in that. So
all the noise you've been hearing, you just tune it out. Because it makes me mad. I'm getting to a point where it's just like, okay, that is just true ignorance. I'm getting to your level because you seem real calm about it. But at first, I'm just like I want to fight. I'm like, what do you mean? But so you're saying just ignore. So them.
It depends because you're not gonna get through to someone like that because they have no experience. Being probably even really being around people of color closely, like in a close relationship. So when you come across people like that, you have to learn to let it go.
Well, and I think also they see minorities being successful. So it's like, well, they're doing it, so you can do it too. Why aren't you being successful? So they take the small percentage of minorities that are doing their thing and they just think, oh, well, then everyone can do that. Why are you complaining about it?
That's what I was going to say. For me, it's two different. I have two different feelings. So for me, I have that where I'm completely treated really poorly, depending on what race they think I am.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then I am the model minority, where my white friends say, "You're just like us. You're successful. You're educated. We don't think you're different. We consider you just like us. We don't see you any different than us." And I'm like, but I'm not just like you. I'm nothing like you. I'm different. I don't look like you. I'm not like you at all.
Your experiences, like your cultural experiences are very different.
I'm 100% different like you. And actually that group, like this group, which is weird because you would think that I would fit, you would feel like, oh, they kind of like accept me. But actually this group I'm the most uncomfortable in. And this group makes me really angry. And I just recently
the group that accepts says you're just like
the accepted group, right? So this group, I was recently. This is very, very recent. I was in a situation where I'm in a group. I'm in a place, and I have to be very vague because I don't want to talk about it because of the place. But I was somewhere, and there were only two women of color, me and another woman. I'm Indian, she's black. And a white woman was talking to my husband, and they were having a big conversation and stuff. They were having a conversation. I happened to come over to talk to him. And then he says, "Oh, this is my wife." And she said, "Oh, I wasn't sure if you were, if you were the girl with the braids or the girl in the dress." There was 50 people there. But she narrowed it down that his wife must be the woman or me in the dress. How did she narrow it down? How did she make that assumption? Why didn't she think he was married to a white woman? And that bothered me. It was innocent. It could be a microaggression / ignorant comment, but it bothered me. And I didn't vent about it to anybody. This is actually the first time I've said it out loud, but it really bothered me. And I was like, why do people make so many assumptions about you? by the way you look. Why can't someone just like get to know you just as you are?
Yeah.
Just as you are. That means that she saw me at the whole event or whole place and just figured the girl in the dress.
Yeah. Well,
And I am the girl in the dress because, you know, my best friends from high school are white, and I was blessed because that they took me in, took me in and saw me just like their own, and they're still my best friends that I take to all of my Indian weddings, and they were the only two. Like my mom would always said, Lauren and Darren, are they coming? Lauren and Darren. I'm like, yes, they're coming. And they didn't mind. Like they're like me at a party. Like I knew that they saw me as I am. Like they saw me hiding under the tree because I'm not allowed to get dark. I mean, now I'm okay. I love the sun. But, you know, I wasn't allowed to get tan, you know. It was one of my rules. I wasn't allowed to play soccer, you know. I had all these rules. But, you know, they came to all my events and all the stuff, and they were the only, you know, white girls at the party. And everybody knew them. Whereas, like, I'm the only person, you know.
Dang, I find that interesting. Like, you couldn't get dark either, huh?
No, because it's beautiful to be fair.
Yes. Wow.
Yes.
Now that is something new for me.
You didn't know
I
that?
thought that was just us.
Oh, no. We're
Right.
the same.
Okay.
So
okay.
I'm from the south of India. So India is like a huge country,
Okay.
you know.
Right.
And I think that's actually a worldly thing.
Okay.
You know, the
Yes.
lighter. So even
Yes.
in our matrimonial ads, because we have a job in India, a marriage broker is like an actual true job that arrange marriages. And the first like adjective you use is fair, which they're actually trying to stop because I'm part of a group for Black Lives Matter. We're part of a group like that supports that, Indians. And that's one of the things they talk about is that we don't like that. That we, you know, that we don't like that, you know, which is why I support my kids playing outside, and my kid gets sunburn, which I have never burned in the sun.
I burned one time. But I was an adult, but not as a child.
But I guess to your point is like that bothers me that that my, you know, and I'm not saying my friends back home, because my friends back home loved me the way I was, because like, so when my parents immigrated, I was in this bubble that they put us in because that's all they knew. You know, I hung out with all Indian friends that I grew up with and all that. I only made non-Indian friends when I left like private, because my parents thought you have to like put them. And like I said, India is a huge place. So just because my family has raised us this way doesn't mean all Indian people are the same. We're all very different. So I don't want anyone to be like, your parents are like this, and other people, all Indian people are different. Everyone's raised differently. But my little community, like little life, that's how we were. And my they all put us in a little Christian, and we were Christians, and they put us in a Christian little private school, and that's how it was. And then when I went to public high school and so forth, that's when I met my non Indian friends. And they didn't corrupt me or anything.
I think, now that you say you being Christian, I think when I first met you, I did a faux pas. And I think about it and I'm like, gosh, Lynette, that was so stupid to say. Because we know an Indian family and they're Hindu, right? Is that what most Hindu?
I mean, it has a lot of religions, but
They're the ones that celebrate Diwali.
Yes.
Okay. So the Indian family that we know, they celebrate Diwali. So when I first met her, I'm like, oh yeah, we know. And I mentioned Diwali. She's like, I'm Christian, and I remember thinking, Lena, that was so stupid. Normally, I wouldn't stereotype, because I'm like, of course, like not all Indians are Hindu. Like that was so dumb, and it sticks with me, and I apologize.
Oh,
it does. I mean, you and I are friends, and we've discussed so many other things, but the very first time I met her, I'm like, that was stupid.
No, I didn't even think about it.
Well, I did afterwards. That was the dumbest comment, and you have to watch what you say.
You're totally fine. That's so funny that you said it, because we were looking at neighborhoods in Marietta, and one of our friends, she was showing us around, and she's like, oh, this person lives here and this person lives here, and she goes, and this is where the and she stopped and she was about to say this is where the Asians live, and then she looked at us and she goes, and then she changed it, because she was about to say, this is where the Asians live.
Yeah.
So it happens. It happens. I'm not going to be mad if she says this is the Asians live. I'll be like, yeah, my people.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm not like you. I'm not that way. I mean, I'm not going to be. I'm fun. We're fine.
That's just a small example of we say things without thinking, and then it's like, why did I even have to say that? Why? Because I know this Indian family. I have to relate it to her. I'm like, who does that?
I mean, Indian people don't know I'm even Indian, because even the owner of the new ice cream shop near us is Indian, and I had to tell him I'm Indian because.
That's so crazy.
Because I'm telling you.
I'm confused. People confuse me for Indian. We've talked about that, Shiney and I.
Yeah.
Not anymore, but back in the day when I was.
I mean, I like it. I'm a mysterious girl. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Shiney, when you were talking, you were saying something stood out when you said model minority. And I was doing, some reading and preparing for the show. And I never even, I've never heard that term before. I mean, I know Asians are considered very, meek and mild and submissive and quiet and respectful. And when reading, I was like, oh my gosh, it literally opened my eyes to the Asian community and how they kind of keep to themselves, but there's a reason why they do that. And I guess in the United States of America, they're considered the model minority because they just keep to themselves.
Well, you just said it too. Yeah. I would say as a whole continent in general, I would say that's not just even, that's all Asian Americans in general, I would say, is very submissive, meek, not boastful, were raised culturally to become educated, take care of the family, be private. When I said this openly, when we went to family counseling, 7 years ago, our therapist said we were the first Asian couple or Asian family to ever, and he ever come into his office. You don't come and be open about, things like that. It's taboo. And even with mental health, my family would never go seek help about things. You keep everything within the family. And I say with model minority, meaning we're pushed to do well, to work hard. And I say model minority because if you look at the lists of top doctors, successful practices everywhere, that's Asian dominated. Mm-hmm. And I think when people see that in the US, I think that they hold that, which is why I think my friend was saying that. I think it was, you may be brown, but you're doing well, and, we're going to look past that. Mm-hmm. That's how I took it. I didn't really question too much of how it was meant. And I think maybe even some Asians who don't want to maybe analyze it too much or think about it too much, and for them to even feel better about the situation, they're like, okay, I've worked really hard and this is my ticket to do well in this country. Mm-hmm. I've earned this spot and I'm here. But yes, they're not gonna necessarily make a big scene. And what that poem that we were listening to earlier, that beautiful poem, it isn't getting the most the publicity and the media that it needs, because all this Asian elderly is getting beat up and killed and hurt, and all this Asian hate crimes and the recent murders here in Georgia. I mean, people are blaming all this on on Asian people here in the United States for all this. And it's really sad and horrible. And if you think about it, we know that this is all not true and absolute hate. And
Yeah.
it does need to be heard.
Why do you think? I think the Atlanta murders were, public because it was a mass shooting. But like all these other little instances, no one's really talking about it. And why is that? Why do we think that is? Like Black Lives Matter and the movement is in our faces pretty much. Do you think it's because the Black community is like, I'm done. We're rising up and look at us and the.
I think that, I guess I feel like with the Black community, like for me also, like I sit with the Black community as well, because for me, I feel Asian, I feel Black, I don't feel white, so, but I also, I feel like there's a strong voice there, there's strength. But me as an Asian myself, right? It's taken me so long to find my own voice personally. It takes a long time to stand up for yourself, just for me personally. So it's hard to do when you're taught at a young age. I'm only speaking for myself as a young, middle-aged Asian woman. I'm taught to be submissive, serving, catering, do as I'm told, study, practice what I'm told. I'm not taught to stand up for yourself. If someone knocks you down, get up and push them back. I'm not taught that. Not at all.
Yeah.
But I don't think anything that's going on right now is right at all.
Yeah. I've read, like, with the killings, that it wasn't a race thing. It was...
Oh, he had a bad day.
Yeah, he had a really, really bad day, Erica.
Right.
I've had bad days.
Like,
Right.
like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough.
I laugh because it's not funny, but I laugh because it's ridiculous how stories can just be spun differently depending on, who you are and your perspective. And
There are so many accommodations made for white people when they do things like that. Like he had a bad day, or you suddenly, you look at mass shootings, which are primarily done by white people, mostly men.
Yeah.
But the story around that person, they are a good father, or you're surprised, the family is so shocked, or they had a tough upbringing. Like there's so much humanizing done around white people who commit crimes, when people of color who commit crimes, or even are thought to have, even if they haven't, are dehumanized. And I don't critique the humanizing of white people. I just wish everybody was able to be humanized.
Exactly.
Like it's not a call for more cruelty or for white people to also be killed in the street.
Of course not. Yeah.
But you see it so clearly. If you choose to see it, you can see it so clearly for how those standards are so different, and the way that much in our society makes room for white supremacist ideas. Like people make room for that, kind of just give a lot of margin for those ideas to perpetuate and to continue.
Excused behavior.
Very much. Very much.
You blanked out over
I did. I just...
You went somewhere. Where you at? Where you at?
There's a lot of things I can't say to the people. Yeah.
Okay.
She went somewhere.
I did. If I say what I feel, like it's, friends.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
Like I was telling my husband today, like I feel like I'm not recovered from the last 4 years.
Yeah.
From everything that's happened, from the 2020 election, from COVID, which we're still in, not recovered from Election Day, and from runoffs here in Georgia, from the assault on the Capitol on January 6th, even all like just shenanigans on Inauguration Day. And I was planning to be out of town that day and was in Montgomery, capital of Alabama. And of course, there were all these talks of, uprisings at capitals around the country. And just, I'm so tired. And nothing happened on that day in Montgomery, but, living with so much trauma that we have seen, and for my friends of color, experienced in a much more visceral way as you watch your peers and colleagues and elders hurt, attacked, killed, disproportionately hit by COVID. I'm so tired. And so
I think what makes me tired, I know I zoned out for a minute there, but what makes me tired is people that I know are quote unquote, because I hate this term, good Christian people, but that's what they call themselves. And they're the ones making these microaggression comments, and they're the ones questioning these things that we're trying to tell you, this is what it is. And they want to push back and push back. So I have a hard time understanding, how can you be a Christian and how can you still side with something that goes completely against my religion as a Christian. And I know that's a podcast for another time, but that's where I get angry, and that's where I get extremely exhausted.
And that's where, when we were talking earlier, I didn't come up with that phrase, but that was a phrase I was looking for. When I tell you, hey, it's nothing you can do with those people, I no longer waste my time on the willfully ignorant.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You're not that stupid. You're choosing to be that stupid. So I don't waste my time on the willfully ignorant. Those are the individuals that I can't stand the most.
Like they know.
You know better.
Yeah.
You know better, and you can do better. You can at least read.
Yeah. I think it's tough because the community that we live in, this is where we live. Everywhere.
You have to learn not to exhaust yourself on that. I mean, unless you say what you need to say and be done with it. Mm-hmm. But it's no sense in going round and round and round.
I think it's radical acceptance of who they are. That's who they are, and that's not you. You don't put that on you.
Well, that's what I'm learning, but it's still frustrating because it's people that
it hurts.
That are not. These are not strangers. These are people.
I know these are I know. I have those type of people in my life.
It'd be different if they're all a bunch of strangers, and it's not like I sit around and talk about these things. But you just know.
I know what you mean. But politics has to be shelved. Remember, we talked about this.
We did talk about that.
And I get what you mean, because
sometimes it's not.
I know.
I don't know. Politics aside, it's humanity that we're talking about. It's humans.
I know.
Like, why does that have to do with politics? I know we can do a whole podcast on that.
And that would be a beautiful one, but which is why I think I'm moving towards, which is why I'm saying I'm tired of hearing that I'm accepted. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be accepted. I want to be seen.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'm tired of hearing this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because just like you said, what was the comment you said in the beginning? I don't see color. Mm-hmm. That's so not true. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad that people say that now. Because how long have we been hearing that?
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah.
Like, that is like the oldest thing ever.
In the book, yeah. And people are still using it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or when they say all lives matter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or something like that. Like, you obviously don't get what Black Lives Matter mean.
Yeah.
No, they don't want to. They don't want to. And that is because you see how I see it.
Yeah.
And especially in the modern world that we're living in right now. I mean, this has been happening forever. But now, because we have video, we have smartphones, and you can see it like I can see it. But this is what has been talked about forever. And people, they choose not to see it. And they choose to say, well, I don't see color, because that's their way of not acknowledging it.
Or not acknowledging
Right.
is my other second pet peeve.
Yeah.
If they don't say it. So if they don't say Black Lives Matter, like say they don't say it at all, like avoiding it to me is also an acknowledgement.
Well, it makes them uncomfortable too to
Right.
acknowledge it. Yeah,
But to me, that's conflict too.
it is.
Avoiding it is also conflict. And I don't want to be associated with that. I
Yeah,
don't like it.
yeah,
Because I am a we are the world type of person.
yeah, yeah. Go Whitney. No, was it Whitney that started?
It's not Whitney.
It was Whitney and Michael. Whitney and Michael and
It's all of us.
and Lionel Richie.
Yes.
Why are you naming all black?
Because they were because they're all my favorites. They're all my favorites, Erica. They're the ones that can
I'm just
sing.
teasing. I'm just teasing.
But yeah, I want those people in there. And there's white people in there singing. Yeah.
I know.
Those
I'm just
are my
teasing.
Lauren and Derns. You know?
I mean, that's how I am too. So I don't understand where these people are coming from at all. Because I'm like you. I mean, we've traveled, we've lived in other places, so we've seen other cultures, and I honestly, either it does anger me, but I honestly feel sorry for people that are closed-minded.
Yes.
Because they're angry on the inside, even though they may not realize it or recognize it. There's a lot of anger and hurt and which comes out in hate. That's not an excuse, but I feel sorry for people that don't know what it feels like just to accept people for who they are, because man, it's nice. I love learning other cultures. I love learning people's traditions. Like, I think it's the coolest thing ever.
Yes.
And I don't understand how people are closed off to that. And a lot of it is fear.
Yes. I think it's 100%. Yeah. It's just fear, and they the unknown. They just don't know.
But what's also exhausting is that we have to conform in order for them to understand. It's like, okay, I don't want them to think all Latinas are ghetto. And, I've been told too, it's like, oh, you don't have an accent, quote unquote. Okay, what's that accent we're talking about? Or, a lot of people assume because you're Puerto Rican, you go to New York and that's where, I'm not street. I mean, I can be in the streets, but I wasn't wasn't raised in the streets like that where, I'm all like rolling my head and have an accent. So when they say that, I'm like, I understand what you're saying. And I'm like, oh, well, I learned English in Colorado, and that's why I have this Coloradoing accent, Coloradoing, because I know what they're saying, but I'm like, that's where my accent comes from. But it's like we have to conform to them to make them feel comfortable in order for them to get to know us, our culture, to make them feel safe, for them to see like, oh, okay, she's cool people. So if she's cool people, maybe this other person from Puerto Rico or Dominican or wherever, or with Philip, but this other black man will be just as awesome as Philip, because Philip is cool, but we have to kind of bring ourselves kind of down. Like, I know when to be loud. I mean, I'm loud a lot of the times, but there's times where there's people that don't really truly know me. They think I'm serious, which is LT serious? No. But they do. They think that I'm like quiet, serious. Intimidating, because I'm not going to show you my full self, because I don't feel like you deserve to know that part of me. So the people that know me, you're welcome. Because no, seriously, you're welcome, because I'm not like that with everybody. I've been told these things like
same. I think same.
You're
thing
a mystery. I'm like, well,
Nobody
great.
knows
I'm glad
me either.
I'm a mystery, and I do it on purpose. It's done on purpose, because you don't get to see the real me, so that you can go off and judge me and tell people how loud I am. So the people that know me and love me and accept me for who I am, and that's.
I mean, I 100% agree. I think people think I'm this volunteer crazy type A organized person, but they haven't opened the closet. They haven't seen all the clothes flying out at them. They don't know that like I could be fun, and I tell like super funny jokes.
Well, with Shiney, they come to her and they want you to do
the work for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I learned the word no.
Good.
COVID taught me that.
Good.
It's just, you all were talking about conforming and everything. Yeah, I don't do that.
Well,
Yes, you do.
No, I really don't. So just
that's
maybe
code
just
switching.
add.
Code switching is conforming.
That's different though, but I'm still always me. I'm still always me.
Yeah.
I may code switch, but I'm still always me. You gonna get what you get.
Yes. I see what you're saying.
Even when I'm at work, I'm at work, I have a level of professionalism because I'm a teacher and I should. However, my coworkers and my supervisors still get who they gonna get.
Yeah.
You get me.
No, I get that. I don't change myself. I just don't give you all of it, is what I'm saying.
Well,
You're gonna get me, but it's just not
because
all of it.
I'm very versatile. Mm-hmm. I seem to shock people because they get what they get, but then it's like, oh, you listen to that type of music, or you like this type of thing, or like, I feel like I'm a little different in that regard. I shock people in a different way.
Yeah,
because you still always you're gonna get who you're gonna get from me.
I like that
No matter the setting.
Like you're real, you're authentic.
I may be quiet at first, or I may mean mug, as I've been told.
You do,
but when I do start to speak, you're gonna get what you're going to get.
I prefer
and I'm
that.
not going to like. I don't want to say.
I don't know. When I say that, I just want to save that cool part of me for the people that truly. That when I say that, I don't. They're gonna get me.
That's how you draw who needs to be near you.
Yeah. Not everyone needs to be near me.
Right,
Though.
exactly.
Yeah.
So if you show exactly who you are from the beginning, you get those non-fake people.
You know what
around
it is?
you.
I think I already know who you are, and so my walls go up. So I don't even want to try. You don't even need to see.
No, I don't.
Because I already know.
I don't try. Like I'm not trying to have you near me. If we draw ourselves to each other, then we're meant to be around each other. We're vibing.
Yeah.
But I can't vibe with you, and you can't vibe with me if we're not who we are from the start. Yeah. Like that's just how I feel.
Let's totally vibe.
Yeah.
Let's vibe. Let's vibe.
I agree.
And so that's how you eliminate having. And I was listening to you say you have people who you are around often, but they have all these varying, like these vast differences from you and how you feel on these subjects. I don't feel like I have that in my life because I'm not attracting that, because you're gonna get who you gonna get from the beginning.
Attract all the peeps.
Yes,
and I have to weed them out.
But see, some people can't. The people that can't handle me are the people I don't need around me. Because if you can't handle me, you can't handle yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're not being 100 with yourself.
Yeah.
So like when you were saying that, and like the people around you, I don't have those kind of circles.
You need to read a couple books that I just bought.
Yeah, this is the thing. I think everyone has their roles and their purpose on this earth.
Right.
I have zero problems pushing people away and saying you're not my people. I can do that easily. I feel like I can keep someone in my life.
This is a different podcast.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we kind of veered off.
This is our boundaries podcast.
Yeah, we can talk about that. But I can have people in my life that I don't agree with. Mm-hmm. There's something inside of me that I feel like there's certain people that I need to be around. I don't know.
I don't have much to contribute to the code switching discussion. I thought it was a great
You were over there like, I saw
Lindsey,
your eyes though. Your eyes are...
Yeah. No, I'm like that. Y'all deserve to be heard and talk about that.
Lindsey, do you code switch and ever? Ever?
I mean, it's a different topic. Like if you shift the prism, like as being a woman, which we could also talk about that, but we're more at the intersection of you are women of color. As a white woman, I have those dynamics of like what women are supposed to be.
Yeah, that's definitely another topic for another podcast. I just love how as women, we can take one topic and start with that and end with something completely different. So Before we get out of here, ladies, I want to go ahead and share the quote of the week. It was shared by Layla Waba on my Facebook page, Virago 24/7. If you're on Facebook, go and join that group. And she shared this quote: "You can choose to look away, but you cannot say you didn't know." So I want to thank everyone.
Thank you so much for having me.
We literally can talk forever on this topic. There's so many different angles that we can tackle it, but this was a good conversation. I want to thank Lindsey, Shiney, Erica. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks
Love
for
you,
having
ladies.
us.
Thank you so much for listening to Virago 24/7. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and please give us 5-star ratings. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Virago 24_7 and on Facebook at Virago 24/7. And just connect with us and share your story. We'd love to hear from you.
Just give me my space to